The fire alarm had barely stopped wailing when Ethan Parker spotted the little girl. She stood at the far end of the elementary school hallway, pressed against the cold cinderblock wall, tiny shoulders trembling as if she might shake apart. The rest of the children had already filed outside, herding toward the safety of the playground in a noisy river of voices. But she stayed rooted, silent, clutching the straps of a pink unicorn backpack that looked almost bigger than she was. Ethan set down the heavy mop bucket he'd been dragging and crouched. "Hey there, kiddo," he said gently, voice low and steady. "The alarm's done now. Everyone's outside. You want to come with me?" The girl didn't move. Her eyes were wide, glassy with panic. She looked about 7, maybe 8, her dark hair escaping its neat braids. The faintest squeak came from her throat, half a sound, half a sob, but no words followed. Ethan recognized that look. He'd seen it in the mirror once, years ago, the day his wife died and left him and his infant son to figure out the world alone. It was the look of someone who just lost the ground under their feet. "I'm Ethan," he said. "I'm the janitor here, which means I get to clean up all the messes nobody else wants to touch. Superhero job, you know." He offered a small grin. Still nothing. He scanned the hallway. The teachers were outside, counting heads. No one had noticed the girl left behind. Ethan reached into his coverall pocket, searching for something, anything, that might bridge the space between them. His fingers brushed against a small plastic tube. He pulled it out and stared. A bottle of bubbles. He'd tossed it into his pocket that morning, a leftover from the night before when his 4-year-old son, Jack, insisted on a bubble parade before bedtime. He never expected to need it here. "Lucky find," he murmured. He popped the cap and dipped the wand, holding it up so the girl could see. "These," he whispered, "are magic." He blew gently. A single, perfect bubble swelled and drifted into the air, catching the light that slanted through the dusty hallway window. It floated toward the girl like a fragile planet, shimmering in pinks and blues. Her eyes flicked upward. Another bubble followed, then another. Soon a slow rain of tiny spheres glided around them, spinning soft reflections of the fluorescent lights. Ethan exaggerated his breath, sending a cluster of bubbles swirling. The girl's mouth parted just slightly, her trembling slowed. Ethan smiled. "Want to try?" She hesitated. Then, with the smallest nod, she stepped forward. He handed her the wand. Her fingers, cool, delicate, wrapped around it. She dipped it carefully, lifted it, and blew. The first bubble popped before it left the wand. She flinched. "Try again," Ethan encouraged. "Gentle breath. Like you're blowing out birthday candles, only softer." She tried once more. This time, a bubble rolled free, wobbling before sailing upward. A tiny giggle escaped her. The sound was soft but clear, like a bell in winter air. Ethan felt something uncoil inside his chest. They made bubbles together, slow, lazy orbs that danced and popped. The tension drained from her face. Color returned to her cheeks. Outside, the alarm's chaos faded. The school settled into the muffled hum of returning order. Finally, the girl looked up at him. "I couldn't move," she whispered, her voice so quiet he had to lean in to hear. The sound, it was too loud. "You're safe now," Ethan said. "Sometimes loud things can freeze us. Happens to me, too." She studied him, then gave a quick nod as if she believed him. "Let's get you outside," he said, offering his hand. She took it. Her small fingers were still trembling, but less now. Vivian Hart watched from the shadow of a half-open office door. She had arrived at the school unannounced, drawn by a frantic call from her driver. "Your daughter's class evacuated during the fire alarm. She's missing." Vivian's heart had nearly stopped. She ran through the front doors moments before the alarm silenced, heels clicking like gunshots on the tile, only to find the halls empty. Except for the scene before her. Her daughter, Lily, whom even the most patient teachers described as quiet to the point of invisible, stood with a stranger in coveralls, blowing bubbles like a child free of every care. Vivian, CEO of a billion-dollar tech empire, was not used to standing still, but now she couldn't move. Something in the simple kindness of the moment rooted her to the floor. The janitor, she recognized his uniform, never glanced her way. He knelt to Lily's level, patient and steady. Vivian's throat tightened. She had spent the past year consumed by board meetings, acquisitions, and quarterly forecasts, convinced she was securing Lily's future. But she'd missed the quiet panic that her daughter carried into every crowded hallway and shrieking alarm. Lily had never told her how frightened she was. And Vivian, always rushing, always late, had never asked. When the all-clear bell rang, Ethan led Lily toward the playground doors. That's when Vivian stepped forward. "Lily," she called softly. Her daughter spun. "Mom." Vivian knelt and gathered her into her arms, the sharp scent of her daughter's shampoo cutting through the sterile school air. "Are you okay?" Lily nodded against her shoulder. "He helped me." Vivian looked up. The janitor stood a few paces away, awkward, as if unsure whether to stay or disappear. "I'm Vivian Hart," she said, rising and extending her hand. "Ethan Parker," he replied, wiping his palm on his coverall before shaking hers. His grip was firm, but his gaze skittered away, almost shy. "Thank you," Vivian said, her voice thick. "I don't think you realize what that meant to her." Ethan shrugged. "Just bubbles. My kid loves them. Thought it might help." Vivian studied him. His dark hair was damp with sweat. There were faint paint flecks on his sleeves. He looked like a man used to working quietly in the background, someone the world passed by without seeing. But Lily clung to his side as if he were the only safe harbor she'd found all day. Vivian cleared her throat. "You carry bubbles in your pocket?" Ethan smiled, a little embarrassed. "My son insists. We have nightly bubble parades. Figured they might come in handy if he ambushed me at work. Guess I was right." Lily giggled again, a sound Vivian realized she hadn't heard in months. The next day, Vivian returned to the school earlier than usual. She found Ethan in the courtyard, raking fallen leaves into neat piles. "Good morning," she said. He straightened, surprised. "Ms. Hart." "I wanted to thank you properly," she said, handing him a small paper bag. Inside was a new set of bubble wands and a note in Lily's careful handwriting. "Thank you for the magic bubbles." Ethan's eyes softened. "Tell her I said she's the real magician." Vivian hesitated, watching him. "You're a single parent?" she asked. "Yeah," he said. "Jack's 4. Full-time job just keeping up with him." "I know the feeling," Vivian admitted. "Though I suspect you're better at bedtime bubbles than I am." Ethan chuckled. "I doubt that." Vivian found herself smiling, genuine, unguarded. It had been a long time since anyone had made her smile like that without expecting something in return. Weeks passed. Every Friday, Vivian noticed new chalk drawings on the sidewalk, bright galaxies of stars and planets. Lily's teacher mentioned that Lily now spoke up in class, eager to share. And every afternoon, as Vivian came to pick her up, she caught sight of Ethan somewhere on the grounds, fixing a squeaky door, helping a teacher carry boxes, kneeling to listen to a child with a skinned knee. Always quiet, always present. People like him, she realized, were the invisible scaffolding that held the world steady. One chilly afternoon, Lily tugged Vivian's sleeve. "Can we bring bubbles for Jack?" she asked. Vivian nodded. "Of course." When they found Ethan and his son on the playground, Jack squealed with delight as Lily handed him a bottle. Soon, bubbles filled the autumn air, floating jewels of soap and light. Vivian watched Ethan lift Jack onto his shoulders, the boy shrieking with joy as he tried to catch a bubble high above. For the first time in years, Vivian forgot the constant vibration of her phone, the endless ping of emails. She stood in the golden light of late afternoon and simply breathed. Somewhere deep inside, something shifted, quiet and certain.